the Pod Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Because whose game is it with everybody saying, hey, no, yeah.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Adam!
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
You should run.
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the star, the NXT champion, and you're listening to the Wrestling
Podcast.
And you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
And you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
And you are listening to the Wrestling Podcast.
And you're listening to the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
You're listening to the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C, Romoran, and Emil Nate checking in through this very wackadoo long weekend, Halloween/Undas, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, Barangay Election Week, all of the things going on in the Philippines. And it's affecting us here on the Pod Network because our friends over at TPN have also taken basically the week off as they deserve to. They've been working very hard to really give you all of the shows and podcasts that you enjoy listening to. So, sariling sikap tayo ngayon because wrestling never stops. As you know, if you're a longtime listener of the pod, we do keep pumping out these episodes even though everyone else is taking a break. So, Emil, are you recording from Manila or umuwi ka na ba ng probinsya?
Oh no, I'm still in Manila. I'll scheduled to go back home this Saturday to Naga, and so but babalik din ako because I'll be around for major events in the next coming weeks. So but right now I'm still in Manila, but about to head home kasi it's been 2 months since nandito ako sa Manila, so it's time for me to go back home because I miss the people there, and my girlfriend is also there, although nakita ko lang siya last week, but still different when it's home. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Ro, are you in Manila or umuwi ka rin ba ng Santa Rosa?
I was in Laguna nung Sunday and Monday, Tuesday for the election, the barangay election. That's about it. I had to go back again because I thought one, I had other lakad scheduled for the rest of the week. Tapos, I didn't think we were gonna go to the cemetery while everyone was there. We already went noong 30. That was the Monday. And marami ng tao. So the festivities already started that early. So after that, I knew I was good. So went back here. I tried put it in time then because I knew we had a recording then on over the break.
Yeah. So by the time you're hearing this, it's either Thursday night or Friday, just in time to head towards a weekend full of wrestling. And speaking of weekends filled with wrestling, we've actually got a huge announcement. We're not going to be teasing it anymore. We're just going to let you know straight up that we've got the Survivor Series watch party. It is officially happening on Sunday, November 26 at 8 a.m. over at Hobby Stadium. And if you've never been to Hobby Stadium, nasa New Manila lang yan. It's along Erod corner, Doña Hemadi Avenue. May parking sa labas, may parking sa baba. Lots of really good food. Emil's gonna be there. He's actually gonna be managing the event because I'll be calling that show over on the WWE Network as always, alongside Carlo Pamintuan. And Tiro, he's got a work trip over that weekend. So Emil will be the man of the hour during that viewing party. So please be nice to him. And please remember to pay because meron tayong konting fee to be part of the watch party. So our early bird rate is 350 pesos. That comes with a free drink. And our regular walk-in rate for the viewing party is 500 pesos. So we're going to be posting the link for our pre-orders sa Survivor Series watch party tickets. That's going to be going up soon over on facebook.com/wrestling podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Podcast or on Twitter and TikTok at Wrestling2XPod to find out Find out more about the Survivor Series watch party, which features some prizes from our friends from Everybody's Toys and Collectibles and Hobby Stadium. So lots of reasons for you to go. Go catch the final WWE PLE of 2023 over at Hobby Stadium. That's Survivor Series, Sunday, November 26 at 8 a.m. And if you can't get enough of yung mga pakulo natin sa Wrestling Podcast, you can be a Wrestling Podcast patron, which was actually Emil's first touch point with us.
All right, so if you want to join in on all the fun, all you have to do is subscribe to our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/Wrestling Podcast. For those $5 or 260 to 270 pesos in a local currency. Yeah, like Stan mentioned, that was the first time that I ever interacted with these guys is through the Patreon. No? So all you will get some benefits, again, being able to join in on our Discord server where you can interact with us. You can interact with your fellow podcast, talk to us about anything about wrestling. You can also talk to us about random things. Movies, TV shows, fashion, sports, memes. So you could exchange memes with us. And sometimes we also hold some watch parties over there. So if you want to join in on all the fun, all you have to do is subscribe. Also, if you've been noticing over the last few months, we've been doing this new system of our pasabais. And if you're a part of our patron program, you'll get some friendly rates on the service fees. Pinapatong namin kasi, we also need to earn, especially these days. So you'll get some friendly rates on the service fees if you join in our Patreon. And you also get some review content of the weekly wrestling shows courtesy of Row and Rowan, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, some local wrestling events as well. So by pretty much subscribing to our Patreon, you're also supporting everything that we do here on the podcast. So again, it's at patreon.com/Wrestling Podcast.
All right, thanks for that, Emil. So yeah, let's get to some reactions muna from things that happened over the long weekend. So isasama na rin natin yung mga nangyari ng Raw since we don't have a live stream for this week. When we predicted Crown Jewel last week before the break, we only got through the 5 matches that were announced at the time. And since we came off of Fastlane, which just had 5 matches, kala natin na, Triple H is probably going to do it again for Saudi Arabia. Nope. You booked and announced 3 more matches for Crown Jewel, which I'm not complaining about. So now we got to talk about it. And let's start with John Cena versus Solo Sikoa, which Ro, you actually called a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yun nga, kasi you're going to talk about this in your pick. So Cena's doing the whole in a way, sad boy tour, teasing retirement. I don't know where that's gonna go, but he's openly philosophizing his career existentialism. So that's pretty weird. So I knew that he did say out loud that if the actor strike ends soon, that's gonna be the clock striking at midnight for his current Cinderella run, diba? So if I were Triple H, and I am not, but he's doing this, I would milk John Cena as much as I could. There's no guarantee that he's going to be around by Royal Rumble or WrestleMania season. And are we predicting this now, or are we saving it for later?
Pwede naman. We can just predict it now.
Oh, yeah. Cena's already in his giving mood, the giving part of his career. So I think this was a nice way na rin to set up a big solo win. Whether or not they do War Games or Survivor Series with Cena involved, mananalo pa rin si Solo one-on-one. Would be nice. I mean, people would probably like it if Cena won, pero you gotta give back to the business. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Emil, who do you think's taking the, Cena or Solo?
I think Solo's gonna win. I initially thought this match was gonna happen at the Royal Rumble, but you know, like Ro mentioned, once the strike is over, he's heading straight back to Hollywood. So, they made this match happen now while they still can, and I believe na they already got the win naman ng Fastlane, Cena and LA Knight. So, I think this time, I think this is gonna be a signature Solo Sikoa win, and then this is gonna be this is gonna be important to him in the long run. His first signature win is against what they say is the greatest of all time. So Solo with the win here.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I know a lot of you aren't really huge fans of the WWE and Saudi's collaborative efforts over the last 6-7 years or so. But to WWE's credit, they've really done a great job of positioning these Saudi shows as big deals. Like it's come a long way since the, for lack of a better term, glorified house show tag that some people from the internet have called the Saudi Arabia shows. So having a Cena versus Solo match in which Solo potentially goes over the greatest of all time goes a long way towards reinforcing that notion na, yeah, these Saudi Arabia shows actually matter.
Clarify natin yan. Sorry. Triple H made that what it is now. Vince still treated them as glorified house shows. And to his credit, hindi naman niya kasalanan completely, because when they first signed the Saudi deal, syempre, they were beholden to the prince, right? And the prince and whoever was also in charge of scheduling the wrestling, booking the wrestling, also wanted yung big names in WWE, to the point that they wanted people who were dead. So it has to be noted that although there was a natural evolution in their working partnership, the relationship, Triple H also made sure that they would be treated as mainline events, just in different places. And I guess that's also what led to him putting on mainline PLEs in the UK, Australia, and then now Germany, which we actually didn't talk about last week. So Bash in Berlin is happening as well next year, and big deal because it's the first, I believe it's the first major event in continental Europe. So that's pretty cool. And malay natin, they might throw us a bone.
Yeah,
sa Philippine Arena.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna call a show at the Philippine Arena, I wouldn't mind kasi feeling ko mababayaran naman ako ng tiba-tiba.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
for the rest of you who will have to travel and like be stuck in traffic and all of that, I don't feel good. So like,
I mean,
for those of you who are wishing, be careful what you wish for.
Pero let's be honest. It's not Taylor Swift. It's not Twice. This is still WWE, and we did not pack Araneta. We did not pack Moa. So I'm a little more optimistic about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe one day sa Phil Oil Eco Oil Center. All right, moving on to more Crown Jewel predictions. Bianca Belair gets her one-on-one rematch against Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship at Crown Jewel. So it's been a while since Bianca, since we last saw Bianca regularly. She came back over the last couple of weeks. So how are you guys feeling about Bianca getting this rematch? And do you think she stands a chance here against Io and Damage Control, who yung dissension nila internally seems to be on and off at this point?
All right, Emil, you cook first.
Oh man, a lot of weird things about this. First of all, I thought before Bianca went on a break, I thought they were heading towards a Bianca Belair heel turn, but it seems like they put the brakes on that. I think for now, I don't know if they're gonna continue with it, but right now Bianca Belair is straight babyface at this point, which I don't mind because I like Bianca Belair naman as a babyface. And second, I don't know, like maybe it's because the women's division of SmackDown isn't that deep, but I feel like we could use a title change at this point. Like I love Io Sky, but they need to be before she could have an established long title reign. I think they really need to get to the dissension storyline first. Because like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna break up? Are they gonna not? Are they gonna stick together? So medyo malabo yun on that part. So I think they need to settle that first. Kasi medyo naapektuhan na yung title run ni Io. Kasi I want Io to have a dominant title reign because she's that good. Pero right now it's kind of shaky, and I won't mind a title change, honestly.
Yeah, I disagree on a number of points there.
Yeah.
Una, the whole thing about the dissension is because they didn't want to pull the trigger on so many dissensions. As you know, we have a lot of heel factions, and for some reason, a whole bunch of those heel factions are nag-ano sila at the same time. Para sa MWF lang. They're all facing tension at the same time within the ranks, right? So you got the Judgment Day teasing tension, the Bloodline teasing tension between Jimmy and the rest. Then you have Imperium fucking teasing tension, and then now you had Damage Control teasing tension originally. So I understand that Triple H has to pump the brakes a little bit on some of these concurrent dissension storylines. So it's unideal. It's definitely not ideal, but it is what it is. And I understand that minamassage pa na ng konti. And some of these things you can hit pause on. It's fine. Especially when you got other more compelling things happening or along the same lines, right? I do agree that they do need to break up because they've been teasing the breakup for so long, but it doesn't have to happen soon. And EO doesn't have to lose the championship soon then. Like, I think the end game for the whole Damage Control breakup was EO versus Bailey because Bailey was always jealous of EO succeeding before she did. So, diba? So I thought that was the main thing they were building up to. And I don't think it would have been okay or optimal kung natalo si EO before that happened. I'll agree with you about Bianca though, yeah. But also I think it's also the product of a bunch of rumors saying that she was going to turn heel. I get why she might not be because the Drew McIntyre John Cena argument that you do have to keep people as role models for the kids, for the minorities, the representation. So may ganong factor. I will admit that it's pretty disappointing to say the least kasi they didn't push through. Although I do appreciate the fact that Bianca is fleshing out how she felt a little depressed while she was sidelined. So that's pretty good. Pretty cool thing to get into. Kasi the thing that they never had with Bianca was the struggle. Kasi she was always on top and they portrayed her as always on top na parang walang problema. So I like that. I think they probably just need to go, or she just probably needs to go through some shit, go through it before returning to dominance on top. But for the most part, I do think EO is retaining Damage Control shenanigans. Tapos, hopefully they move forward with the breakup angle. So there's that. Para masatisfy ka naman, Emil. Kaya sa'yo eh.
Oh, nakakaya sa'yo, Emil. Kawawa naman si Emil. All right, finally, we've got a kickoff match happening for Crown Jewel. I don't actually remember the last time we've had a match on the kickoff, but we're getting Sami Zayn versus JD McDonough. So big platform here for the Irish Ace. And medyo nakakagulat, but then again, it's also going to be weird seeing Sami Zayn not involved in a PLE card. So I guess this is where they're able to position him alongside yung feud, diba, ng mga Raw baby faces versus the Judgment Day. So what do you guys think about this one?
Wait, before anyone answers, I gotta ask, did they just suddenly bring back JD this week? Parang hindi ko siya nakita over the past couple of weeks with them.
He's been there.
Kasi after the whole when they lost the championship nung Payback, diba? No, Fastlane, sorry. No, Fastlane. Fastlane ba? Payback?
Yeah, Fastlane.
Fastlane, right. Diba? They kind of got mad with him because he inadvertently caused the injury to Damien Priest. Diba? So I thought he was persona non grata for a while. Tapos nagulat ako na dito siya ulit rolling with them. So
wasn't he the reason they won back the titles? Diba? Parang nakabawi siya.
No, Jimmy was the reason.
It was Jimmy. Right, it was Jimmy.
Yeah.
Shit, sorry, I forgot.
Kaya nagulat ako na he's riding with them again after they did not feature him at all over the past couple of weeks. So that's weird to me. But anyway, continue, Emil.
Yeah, I feel like they just brought JD for them to be able to book this match. Because again, it's pretty weird. They would have a Saudi show without Sami Zayn, so parang they just retconned it so that they can book this match. So I feel like the story will progress after Crown Jewel. Pero this one I think this is a one-off in terms of they just brought him back for the sole purpose of making this match possible. So I'll predict this now. Sami will win this. Syempre, like hometown. Not really hometown, pero like he's so popular.
Muslim hero, yeah.
Yeah. So Sami will win here.
The geopolitics of this are interesting. I'm not fully sure yung relationship ni Saudi Arabia kay Israel, but I'm sure they are backing Palestine kasi Muslim ethnicity, right? So I don't know how precarious it is for Sammy to be uh, to be there in Saudi Arabia right now. I think he has vocally supported Palestine then. So I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I guess it's safe because he's booked, diba? So clearly Sammy's gonna win. He's there to pop the home, no, not the hometown, but the his brothers and sisters, right? So that's it. That's a pretty obvious choice.
Yeah. Nevertheless, it should be a fun kickoff match. I actually don't know if we're going to call the kickoff show. Traditionally, kasi hindi yan kasama sa, sa responsibilities namin for the PLE. But we'll see. It should be fun if ever we do get to call Sammy versus JD in Tagalog. All right, moving on, we also saw The Miz stepping up as Gunther's next challenger, apparently, a result of Miz's guesting, or Gunther's guesting rather, on Miz TV. So from the looks of things, the way that they booked the promo segment, parang naging babyface itong si Miz all of a sudden. Do you think
they were in Cleveland? They were in Cleveland, yeah.
They were in Cleveland, yes, but then Miz reverted back to being 2016 Talking Smack Miz. Like, that's what I saw, except 2016 Talking Smack Miz was actually a heel, but he brought that fire and passion into these promos against Gunther. So does this version of Miz work for you as a babyface against Gunther?
Sige, Emil ka muna. Marami akong feelings.
Oh, man.
I got feelings.
This is one of the best heels ever. Pero there's a reason why he's one of the best heels ever. It's because he doesn't really work as a babyface. They already tried a Miz babyface run twice. I mean, the first one was in 2013, didn't work. And then the last one was when Shane turned on him. And eventually, he just went back to being heel months later. So there is something about that. They would try, but it just doesn't work. I mean, it's not a detriment to the Miz whatsoever. It's just that he's so good as someone you can hate that you really don't know. You really, like, him being a fan favorite really doesn't work, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if this one, maybe siguro with this one, naging de facto babyface lang siya because he's up against Gunther. So I don't know. I'll let Ro here explain explain to the people why Miz doesn't really work as
actually it's complex. When you have Miz talk like this, it works naman eh. He works as a babyface kasi marunong siyang magdraw from his thinking, his experiences, his own passion for the business. You remember that this guy is actually a guy who really loves pro wrestling, and he made that his gimmick in the real world, diba? To the point na ginagaga siya ng lahat kasi he was a big mark, right? So I enjoy that. I think that's why Miz is an okay babyface. I think the problem was they kind of went about this a little bit the wrong way. Dapat yung match with Gunther was held here in Cleveland, diba? I think that would be the biggest place where Miz would get a babyface pop. Kasi where else do people really like the Miz here? This isn't 2011 where people still hated John Cena, right? And The Rock wasn't involved yet. So interesting lang na Miz, or they really set Miz up for a little bit of trouble kasi you have Gunther, who literally is the serious pro wrestler that he said he was. So naturally, people back that up kasi legit si Gunther. Legit siyang wrestler. He has the cred, he has the street cred, he has the in-ring cred. And it's hard to really boo a guy like that. I mean, they even eased up on the whole Nazi thing, right? The only reason why he's a heel is because he's a dick, but otherwise, there's not really that much to boo him on because he's really good. So when you have someone like that being positioned as a heel, it kind of sucks because the other heel was a guy that people really love to boo, right? So talagang all it's done. I feel bad for him, although it's, you know, I'm sure he relishes the opportunity of swinging from the corner that he's been backed into. it's just really an uphill battle for him. Kawawa siya. Kasi I already saw the reactions on Twitter. They're polarized. People are enjoying the Mrs. Mike work, pero some people or a lot of other people don't really buy it because one, it's the same stuff he said nung Talking Smack, right? But that was what 7 years ago. I mean, who cares if it's rehashed? There are some people who are tuning into Raw now and don't know about this promo. So obviously, it's not for you who's seen that infamous Talking Smack segment all those years ago. But for those that may be tuning in for the first time or bago lang this year, obviously it's not for everyone. The market isn't everyone here, but I get it, right? Sasabihin ko na lang is it's hard for wrestlers, for a lot of wrestlers to talk the way Miz did in that segment and on Talking Smack. A lot of people would give their left nut or their their first championship to talk like the Miz talk. So a lot of people forsake that when they talk shit about the Miz, saying that recycled yung material or alam mo yun, it's not it's not representative of how the Miz is booked or how the Miz wrestles, if whatever that means, because Miz has been putting out good stuff this year. So sayang lang, it's one of those things that a lot of people don't really know what they're talking about. They're entitled to their feelings about the Miz, and to Miz's credit, it's not really his fault that. I guess it's not his fault that he's been booked like a chicken shit heel this whole time, or a lot of his career. Yun nga, diba? A lot of the things that he listed down in his resume, kay Adam Pearce and whoever, all of those came from cheating, dirty finishes. Diba? No, none of those came, or very little of those came from a heroic babyface triumphant Miz, diba? So yun lang yung pinaka-hole sa game niya. He pretended that those things, that those accomplishments were a part of a hardworking triumphant heroic Miz. But when you can also look at it from the point that you don't get those championships, you don't get to be two-time Grand Slam champion without being over or without being good at something you do, diba? So championships in wrestling are also results of something good, a good skill set, right? So there's a lot of hate going around from this. It's not fair from one worker to another.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see what Miz does here because we haven't seen him be a proper babyface in quite a long time, and admittedly, napaka out of nowhere din yung turn yan. Just because he guested Gunther and Gunther comes out and is the bigger dick, the bigger heel in this story, na Matic Miz kind of adjusts and becomes a de facto babyface. So I at least appreciate the effort to try and make Miz more sympathetic, make him more rootable by giving fans something to latch onto. But it's way better than someone just all of a sudden becoming a babyface with no apparent reason, no explanation whatsoever. But with that being said,
Miz, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. You finish your thing.
Yeah, I was going to segue to this potential alliance with DIY kasi we kind of saw it when DIY came out after Imperium tried to beat down the Miz, and we know that DIY has a storyline going on with, at the very least, Kaiser and Vinci. So we also have to mention that there's a link there between Tommaso Ciampa and the Miz, who were together as a heel duo for a few months in 2022.
Yeah. Before that, sorry, I just thought of something right now. The thing that they're doing with the Miz, they're copying the thing that MJF is doing. So MJF is still the scumbag. Miz is still the scumbag. But he medyo mayabang siya when he was talking to Adam Pearce after the whole Imperium segment, the whole Miz TV segment. So he's not quite turned, but they are painting him, as you said, as sympathetic because they were in Cleveland or whatever. And I think they are copying the MJF thing where MJF doesn't really fully change his personality. He just is a little more sympathetic as he has developed as a character, I guess. I just find it ironic as people were accusing MJF of copying The Miz, but when you get down to it, The Miz is now copying, or whoever's writing this is now copying however they're writing MJF. But anyway, the DIY thing is actually pretty good. I hope they mention it on commentary because they just teased it when Miz walked out and then DIY came out. So I guess the hint, the cinematic hint that there's gonna be a thing happening between these three guys, right? So yeah, that's actually pretty good. We have to credit Dur for bringing it up. It's a Discord natin. So I like that. I think they lucked into it. Random pieces are, Champa's random alliance with the Miz, and then it so happens that DIY is feuding with Imperium. So interesting things. I am actually looking forward to this as well. To echo what you said.
Yeah. Ano rin, magandang connection din na Miz and Gargano are both Cleveland guys. So I guess that's another thing that they can use to like bond them together in this very loose alliance right now.
I'm very interested with the possibility of the Miz and not joining, but being aligned with DIY kasi DIY needs something to to latch on, I guess, kasi even though they had the history in NXT pretty new. I mean, they had the whole video vignette of showing DIY when they were still a team. So a partnership with them is not the worst thing in the world. It's gonna help them. Like it's gonna, one of the criticisms of DIY is that their promo game isn't that strong.
Wow.
So yeah, that's
who?
No, I've seen it. I've read stuff on it. Like especially with Johnny, pero like Miz is gonna help them with on that end. So it's probably gonna be a mouthpiece for DIY. Baka ganun yung mangyari. So I'm not saying that I am agreeing with all these, pero having someone who's one of the best talkers in the game, bodes well for their chances in the main roster. So.
All right. First time I'm hearing any criticisms about DIY's promo game. Okay, I guess. All right. Last thing we're gonna react to here from this long weekend of wrestling is LA Knight and Roman Reigns. They had that showdown during the contract signing for Crown Jewel. They also already taped yung Go Home episode ng SmackDown. And I believe there's supposed to be one last interaction between LA Knight and Roman Reigns heading into Crown Jewel. Now, if you read yung dirt sheets and yung mga rumors na nire-report ng mga wrestling journalists, then you might know that there are rumors going around na Roman Reigns might take time off now right after Crown Jewel and baka yung balik niya Royal Rumble na, which means he'll be gone for the rest of the calendar year and we won't see him until the lead up to the Royal Rumble. So what do you guys think about this whole LA Knight and Roman Reigns situation, especially with Roman taking time off once again to close out the year?
So Gamil, go first.
Okay. Yeah. I actually tweeted something about this. Now, watching this program from start to finish, like yes, I'm a big LA Knight fan, pero never once did I think that he's gonna go over Roman. That's why it is kind of hard for me to invest that much into the feud. Pero I do know he's gonna be a bigger star after this. Pero yun na nga, like I don't like. There's no. Like, is there really a chance for LA Knight to be the guy? I mean, at this point, I feel like we're just coasting until we can make it to WrestleMania in terms of the Roman title reign. Kasi we all know what's gonna happen or might not happen. Pero it's just sad that I feel that way. I'm not really invested because like Roman is gonna win at the end of Crown Jewel. So as much as LA Knight has been doing all this stuff to get over, I mean he is over. He's doing it right. He's doing it correctly. He's getting over with the crowd. He's finally having main event reps. It's all good. He's gonna be a bigger star after this, but that conclusion is making me hard to invest myself into this feud lang. I'm still investing in LA Knight, but this feud, like it's let's just get it over with. Let's just get it over. We all know Roman is not gonna lose that title anytime soon.
Okay, my feelings about both men and this story are pretty complex. So for one thing, Emil is right. Roman definitely winning. And it's gonna suck. People are gonna hate it when he doesn't show up again until 2024, diba? Until whatever, the Royal Rumble, or January to set up the Royal Rumble. Roman needs to lose, because it's one of those things that you can't really keep building people up just to get knocked down by Roman. Kasi maraming kawawa. Kawawa yung fans. They've already been jaded because of the whole Cody thing, and because of all the opponents that they've built up successfully. I have to admit, over the years, like, you know, the Drew McIntyres, the Sami Zayns, the Kevin Owenses of the world. So it's nice to have a monster end boss level run, pero at some point you gotta give the fans what they want. And right now, I think the whole LA Knight phenomenon is it. I think it's bigger than the whole Cody thing. Kasi Cody is great, yes, pero I think nobody was more underdoggy than LA Knight. Kasi syempre, he came from the whole Max Dupree thing. Stardust was so long ago that Cody built up his reputation over the years since, but LA Knight had a shorter path to mega stardom, right? And I think you got to give it to him, right? Parang where else are you gonna go? How many stories are we gonna wait to finish, diba? Cody's finishing his story. Do we need, or do the people need another person going through their own story? LA Knight just turned 41. So ano ba yan? That guy's no spring chicken, although he moves like one. So I don't want to risk Triple H alienating the people that have welcomed his rise to power. Yun lang naman. If anything, yun lang. Kasi I say that because I'm also not a big fan of LA Knight. And yung segment nila with Roman last Friday kind of cemented that. Na, okay, this guy is all hype. Or wow. The writing is all hype. Because yung segment nila last week, it really proved that it's The Rock all over again. And by that, I mean, The Rock was just surface level schoolyard insults, high school shit, juvenile shit, popped the crowd with some really nice zingers, said a really great way, a really confident, braggadocious way. Just all good. If it's over, it's over, right? That's the best way to make money. But like The Rock, nobody really wrote anything for him. It's like what happens with his movies now. There's really no fleshing out of his characters, no real three-dimensional stuff there yet. LA Knight has shades of it a little bit, but they've focused more on him throwing out catchphrases and throwing out rap references and insulting people and saying their facts of life. That's it right now for me. That's what LA Knight is right now for me. And The Miz, even with his recycled life story, his origin story, mas may laman pa yung character niya kasi kay LA Knight. And I don't think it's gonna be LA Knight forever, but right now I want more. I want more to sink my teeth into with LA Knight. But I'm not gonna deny that the train is rolling, right? I think that's enough of a reason to give the guy the championship, because he really is moving. I mean, this guy became an endorser for a popular product, a popular food product. So that's no small thing. And if it's over, then it's over. You got to give it to him. You got to reward him for getting over. And I think we're at the phase, or at the administration where the management denies people things because they got over without them planning to. So, a lot of things. I really do think they need to pull the trigger. I think we need to do something shocking for the business. It's all for the business. So I want LA Knight to win despite my feelings for him. I think that's also now, I think, my feelings for Cody as well, retroactively. But I think it's a time. But as Emil said, I think we're also in for disappointment because LA Knight looked really good in that segment. But Roman let him have suffering succotash.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He let him walk all over him. So because that happened, wrestling logic, they're not giving him that much they're not giving him the win. He already won that battle. Then it's impossible for him to win the war. And that's kind of the sad truth here when it comes to LA Knight and Roman Reigns. So, medyo magulo talaga. And I do not know how they're going to crawl themselves up from the bottom of this inning moving forward.
When you said the reality is that LA Knight's gonna lose, what a missed opportunity to have said, nah, that's not an insult. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah. I hate the fucking catchphrases. He fucking relies on them too much. Like The Rock.
There, Crown Jewel happening this weekend. It's gonna be Sunday midnight Manila time. So go check that out. Kung gising pa kayo. If not, you can go catch it on demand on Disney Plus, or if you can access it, and if you want to hear Tagalog commentary with me and Carlo Pamintuan, go check out the WWE Network. We'll take a break. We'll get through our mega-sized picks of the week episode right after this.
The tables have turned. The podcasters now want to listen to you.
Tell us your thoughts in the survey for a chance to win a cash prize. Be honest, huh?
Answer the survey on our website, surveypilipinas.org.
And you're automatically part of the raffle. For a chance to win 5,000 pesos in cash,
make sure to complete the survey for your entry to be qualified.
We're excited to get your feedback. We are listening.
Just go to www.surveypilipinas.org at baka ikaw na ang next winner.
All right. Since we didn't do a picks of the week last week, dahil ginawa namin yung mga Halloween episodes, gagawin natin, we've got 2 picks per person, and then we're gonna try to break things down as concisely as possible because this is gonna be a long-ass episode of the podcast. So let's start with Chino's. He's not here, so we're gonna go through them really quickly. First off, KENTA versus Chris Sabin from Bound for Glory. This is for the X Division Championship, and I really enjoyed this match. I was watching it over breakfast and coffee, and sobrang nagising ako when I saw Chris Sabin and KENTA, just 2 veterans going at it in 2023. Heel KENTA, as Chino points out in our notes, proved himself to be quite a menace for Chris Sabin to overcome. And, Sabin being one of the OGs, one of the gatekeepers of Impact Wrestling, to be in the position he's in with still a major championship around his waist in 2023 is wild, especially as they go through this renaissance where they're rebranding back to TNA Wrestling. Diba? So for Chris Sabin to be one of the faces of that brand, of that company, it's a great feel-good story for 2023. And just this match, man. If you're like me, na hindi nanonood ng Impact unless someone actually requires you to go and watch Impact Wrestling or TNA Wrestling, then I think your time will be well spent enjoying this one.
All right, I'm gonna go through this quickly because my feelings about this are pretty straightforward. I say this not in a bad way, but this is a routine KENTA match in this year, in this decade. Syempre, he's not who he was, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So not going to be the same, but he does it well. It's kind of formulaic for me. I've seen this KENTA match a million times since he left WWE. That doesn't make it bad. My favorite part about this is yung fuck you niya kay CM Punk. If you missed that, kasi they were in Chicago for Bound for Glory. Yeah. He did the night gesture, if you will, and then he said fuck you to that, because he is the OG go-to-sleeper. So, pretty fun match, especially if you don't know what Hideo Itami really is all about.
Yep. And again, like I said, like I noted in my previous pick of the week, I watched Impact or TNA whenever the guns, the Motor City Machine Guns are featured, and Chris Sabin is one half of that, and I always enjoy their work. And Chris Sabin, again, I noted before, he was on the first episode of Impact, and the fact that he's still going strong these days, he's really one of the most I think underappreciated talents in wrestling, like in the last 20 years, and stand by that. He's really good.
All right. He has another pick that only Emil will be talking about. So
All
I'm gonna
right,
shut up now.
so his other pick is from the recent episode of FPW Astig. It's a match, the main event of that episode, Jan Evander versus Mike Madrigal. So I'm gonna read Chino's notes here. It says that the body transformation of Jan Evander is easily the best thing he has done. Looks like a killer in the ring. Can easily be the face or the heel of the company. And Chino also says he's still on the fence about Mike Madrigal being a babyface because he says still tries to toe the line between being a kupal, as his words, and a pure face. Although he loves the mind game, so he does. And his final note here is see the match live. He knows how good both wrestlers are, and he's glad they were able to put this match out finally because he thinks it's one of the best matches from FPW. Okay, so I also watched this match yesterday, and it was a great match. My only really complaint about this is that it's quite too long, and I've also noticed this about some of the FPW the TV, the Astig main events can get too long. I mean, in this match, they noted that it went up until 20-minute mark, until the 20-minute mark. And I thought for a TV match, they should have at least cut it down, I think, to at least 10 an appropriate TV main event around 10 to 15, I think, in my opinion. So that's only my opinion. I don't know about the others, but
Hindi ka wrestler, Emil. Wala kang opinion.
Sorry about that. Pero yun yung type ko with.
I'm messing with you, by the way. You can have an opinion.
No, but let it be said that he is the one watching. So, as a watcher,
yes.
As someone, no, this is not for Santa. This is for those who might think that Emil is not allowed to critique this particular aspect kasi hindi siya wrestler. But he is the consumer of the product, and he is, entitled to feel some type of way about how the product he is consuming is playing out.
I mean, I feel like they could have cut down most of the first half because I felt like wala masyadong nangyari in the first. The second half was really good. I will attest to that. It was really good, but the first half they could have cut at least like 2 to 3 minutes of that, and yun lang naman, yun yung critique ko with this match, and it was a great match again. I will echo what Chino is saying here. It was a great match, and he's glad that they were able to finally put this out online for people to see, and so that's it. That's it for my for Chino's picks the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All
so
right?
you asked us, sorry, really quickly. You asked us in private, bakit may ganitong kahabang main events dito sa Philippine wrestling.
Yes.
The thing is, it's been a thing ever since we started the whole thing. Kahit nung nasa PWR pa kami, it has been a critique. Noted film critic Philbert D has been the first one to bring up the fact that matches in local wrestling promotions run too long, especially back in 2014, 2015, where we had no business putting out more than 10 minutes, more than 8 minutes even. So it's been a thing. It really is a bad habit that we're only curbing now because we have an actual TV deal that, at least in MWF side, we're curbing now because we have a TV deal that requires us to stick to actual broadcast time. So before then, kasi, we indulge ourselves, we overindulge ourselves. And I think a lot of people, both fans and wrestlers, they think that the longer the match is, the better the quality is perceived to be. But I think a lot of the same fans and wrestlers as well, once they experience or once they watch a long match live, especially after a long show, they find nakakapagod nga siya. So I'm not going to go into whether or not we are capable of pulling off these matches. As you said, Emil, you enjoy the match, so that's them doing something good in a way, pero it is a problem. It's a systemic problem that we've had over the past 10 years.
All right, let's move on. Rowan picked Io Sky versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship from a couple of SmackDowns ago. And he said it was a solid match and really highlighted both women's desire to be champion. And yung favorite part daw ni Rowan from that match was Io hitting a tope suicida to Charlotte, and then Charlotte countering Io's moonsault by raising her legs. And he also enjoyed how Io just really sold that spear from Charlotte Flair. Rowan's become a fan of Io's title run, even though laging involving damage control because damage control. And he feels na Io's next feud down the road will be against Bayley, which everybody has been calling then because of the teased dissension sa damage control. He also thought na it was a fine first order of business from Nick Aldis, a SmackDown general manager, and that he did a good job by enforcing yung kanyang authority through this match. And then nagulat din siya with Bianca's return from that break following SummerSlam, and now he's just excited for their clash at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, agree. It was a good match. I did say that SmackDown had a problem recently of not having highlight feature matches for a while now, and they fixed it with this match. So I agree with this.
Yeah, same thing. Again, sometimes I often forget how good Charlotte is. Pero yun na, because I felt like again she was coasting. Pag feeling niya hindi, she's like Randy Orton in a way. Like when she's not in it, like you can see it. But when she's in it, when she's in a program or in a match, like she's easily one of the best. And this kind of proves it, and she was up against a great wrestler in Io Sky, and it showed. They have this good chemistry, I think, in my opinion. And I think this is it for the women's title for Charlotte, for the chase for Charlotte so far. I mean, this was I think this was their blow-off match to their feud, and then Io's gonna move on to another feud, and Charlotte is probably gonna move on to another feud. So for a blow-off match of their feud, that was a really good match.
Yeah, I think the bigger issue here, the bigger question coming out of a blow-off match involving Charlotte Flair is, can she get herself into a story that doesn't involve a championship that people can find compelling? Kasi diba, yung history ni Charlotte Flair is that she's at her most compelling when she's either in the championship chase or defending her title. That's kind of been the gimmick, diba? Why she's been like a 14-time women's champion. So where does Charlotte go from here now that she's clearly boxed out of the championship chase?
I'm sure they'll find something. They got TV writers.
Yeah. I would like Charlotte to feud with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I think they can work something there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, why not? They're not really doing anything other than messing with NXT, diba? No, Halloween Havoc Night 2. So maybe that. Rowan's other pick is a quick squash match from Collision over the weekend. It featured Claudio Castagnoli, a very irate Claudio, against Tracy Williams. Na enjoy ni Rowan kasi napakabilis daw, and he found it funny na just as Claudio's opponent was about to be announced, ininterrupt na agad ni Claudio, dumiretso na siya with an uppercut and just kept uppercutting the guy into oblivion. And he felt it was a great way to book a wrestler like Claudio before a title match, and that he made it really entertaining in destroying Tracy Williams. Sabi rin ni Rowan na it reminded him of Batista versus Simon Dean, which is one of those random matches na I wouldn't really know until someone points it out. So good job, I guess, Rowan, for making me remember Batista versus Simon Dean.
Really funny stuff. I enjoy this game. I love squashes, for people who don't know, but I especially enjoy the European uppercut finish because he just threw it out randomly and then he won. I love that.
Yeah, like especially in AEW, this is this is something fresh because they would always do long matches like every time. So it's kind of refreshing when you see squashes like this. Plus it features yung quality ni Claudio na he can destroy anybody at any given time, and he's a monster in the ring. So I like squashes because it also establishes the dominance of a wrestler. So this is something new from not something new, but this is something fresh from there, and I really liked it.
I just wanted to point out real quick that before this, TK didn't want to do squashes the traditional way.
Yeah.
Back in nung panahon ng early dark, he would have what were supposed to be squashes, but he made them really competitive that it took them so long na hindi siya naging squash in the end. So it's good that the presence of the WWE veterans, but the overstacking of the roster made him actually do squashes how they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on from the squash and go to Emil's pick, and let's start with that match from Bound for Glory between Will Ospreay and Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, so I have two picks here. My first one is from Impact, Bound for Glory. 2 weeks ago, it was it was not the main event, but I feel like it should have been the main event. Will Ospreay versus Speedball Mike Bailey. I had high expectations coming into this match, and somehow I feel like they were able to surpass it for me. I mean, this is match of the year caliber candidate, and Speedball is one of my favorite non-WWE, AW, or NJPW wrestlers. And I really wish, I know he feels like he's at home sa Impact, but I really wish I could see him in a bigger promotion. I mean, I really enjoy his work. His hybrid of the MMA inspired kicks and strikes with the high flying arsenal makes him one of the must watch wrestlers in Impact, and one of the must watch wrestlers in the world as of right now. And he's really, after a few years where he wasn't allowed in the US, now he's getting back to, and he's now even better than what he was before when I first saw him in PWG. And there are a lot of great wrestlers this year, but this year Will Ospreay is just on a whole nother level. And this is my personal opinion. His 2023, I feel like, is already in the conversation for the greatest year of any wrestler in history. Like, I thought he already peaked around 2021, 2022, but this year he just evolved to a whole nother stratosphere, going to every promotion and having great matches in AEW, NJPW, Rev Pro, and now here in Impact. So 2023 Will Ospreay, he's there. He's knocking on the door on the conversation of the greatest year of any wrestler in history. So this was a really great match. If you haven't seen it, please check this out.
Agree. It's a great match, but I have complicated feelings about it.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's hear that.
Yes. It was good. It was really good. I rewatched it again properly this morning, and it was really good. I like that they focused on the martial arts style ni Mike Bailey. Tawag dun, Will Ospreay went toe-to-toe with him with the kicks and the strikes, so I enjoyed that part. But Emil said, you said that it should have been the main event, and I agree, it should have been the main event, but not for the reasons that you think, but because they did one too many false finish there. Parang they wanted to feel like the main event, but they were not the main event, and I generally have a problem with people who try to overindulge themselves as though they were the main event. I'm sure they were told to wrestle like it was a big match, and it was a big match, but to me, I didn't think the whole one-off thing was enough of a good reason to pretend like you're the actual main event of the show. I don't know. It's one of those bad habits now. You do too much and then you do a lot of big moves. They protected the Stormbreaker real fine, that it was the actual finishing move of the match. But they did a whole bunch of other good stuff, big moves, Meteor Rain, diba? That's rare. Kicked out of all of them, kicked out of the Hidden Blade, kicked out of the Oz Cutter, a whole bunch of that, kicked out of the Storm Driver, and I lost it somewhere near the end. I liked it. I liked it. I wanted to like it a lot, but it lost me, but I won't deny that you shouldn't. I won't deny that you should go watch it. It's really good, and it does do the things that Emil said it does for both men. So, what? I'm just this kind of fan, this kind of worker. So, people will love it. People will love that. The thing I hated about it, but it is one of those things.
Sabihin mo na lang na doer ka, kaya ganun opinion mo.
Yeah, I just said I was a doer. I said that as a worker.
There. I haven't really seen a whole lot of Speedball Mike Bailey outside of clips here and there. So admittedly, I'm very late to the bandwagon. In fact, this is the first full Mike Bailey match I've caught. All right. I don't have as much time as I used to go and catch stuff outside of the main shows that we cover. So thanks, Emil, for picking this match because I had fun. I actually enjoyed watching this match. Nagpop ako for the fact that one of Mike Bailey's signatures is named Meteor Rain, even though it's not an F4 reference in my head. It is an F4 reference, and I will stick by it in my head canon. Mike Bailey's fun. It makes me want to see more of him, and I actually enjoy watching Will Ospreay as a babyface wrestler. Like, I didn't think I would kasi very complicated yung outside the ring stuff ni Will Ospreay. But for a while there, he made me forget about that stuff and just made me look at the art form and his performance in the ring. So I appreciated that. And like the Chris Sabin KENTA match, it was another good way to start my Thursday morning. So, those are my thoughts on this match. Let's get to your second pick.
All right, so my second pick goes out to the main event of Collision, which was Kenny Omega versus MJF for the AEW World Championship. So when this match was announced, I thought maybe they should have reserved this for something bigger, for an all-in main event or all-out main event, and for much bigger stakes. But I thought medyo big din yung stakes dito because the story heading into this match is MJF was close to breaking Kenny Omega's record of the longest single title reign for the world championship. So I think it was fine that they did this kasi it also reminds me of how the New Day challenged the Usos for the tag titles. I think it was last year where when they were close to also breaking the New Day's record. So it was fine. At least there was a story there. And initially I had my doubts of how this match was gonna turn out. Kasi like I admittedly in ring wise, I'm not sold yet on MJF, but they made some magic out there. And especially I'm glad that it happened on Collision kasi I feel like they give more time for the big matches on Collision rather than on Dynamite. And this was a pay-per-view main event caliber match that we got on free TV. And I'm glad I saw it, even though I have problems with TK booking big matches on TV and how I feel like TK is just doing dream matches each and every week. But I'm glad that they did this match. Both men brought their A game in a match that you could say it was kind of a throwaway one-off because they have their own storylines. They're not really feuding with each other, but yung story lang dito is of the record, right? So and also them always putting the biggest match possible that they can, which again is something that really bothers me about AEW, but that's how they are. That's how they do things, and it is what it is. But again, this is possibly the biggest match biggest match in the company they could have put, and we got it on free TV, and it was great. And maybe in a few years we'll get this match on a bigger stage, I guess. So, but this one was really good. Possibly one of the best TV matches this year.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned the booking because there is a problem there, but not the problem that you mentioned. The thing is, you needed to do this match on this particular episode of Collision kasi nga yung record ni Kenny Omega. It's the same reason why Usos New Day, the last one, happened on a random episode of SmackDown. Kasi they were coming up on the New Day's record. The problem is, and David Shoemaker backs me up on this. He mentioned it on the last episode of the Masked Man show. The problem here is TK, as the boss and as the booker and promoter, should have known that this was coming up. And because of that, he should have promoted this a long, long time ago, or at least a month before. Now, Kenny Omega's record is coming up. And because of that, Kenny Omega deserves a chance to defend his record, like the New Day. So that should have been the simplest, most basic promotion technique in the book, and he did not do it. Because if you can shoehorn the story a couple of 14 days before the actual show, then there's no reason to not shoehorn the story a month or 2 months before this episode. So that is a major, major failure on TK's part because he should have known, or somebody should have told him, somebody in the stats department should have told him na parating na yung record, parating na yung yung date. So that is the problem with this booking, and not the fact that it was on free TV on a Collision. A lot of people are complaining because why are you giving it away in front of 4,000 fans? Who cares? It's a record. That's a legit sports thing that can be drawn on, right? So big failure. Proves that TK isn't really much of a good writer or promoter. So and that jettisons whatever chance I have of working for him. So
Damn.
So I mean, after all the shit we've talked about, so wala. And you've seen how petty he can get on Twitter. So wala na. Wala na. GG na ako for AEW. So it's a big failing talaga that they could have written this story and they did not. And I know they can do this because they've managed to write all of these other contenders for MJF, all these other players in the MJF cinematic universe. So wala. Sayang talaga. I will say, agree that the match was great. Best TV match of the year. I enjoyed the fact that Kenny Omega can actually hang in the Western American pro wrestling style. So that's something that Nigel also mentioned on commentary. I'm glad that he pointed that out because it is an important fact. It is an important concept to observe and point out. Because Kenny is used to the Japanese style where you just keep going and going because of fighting spirit. But MJF forced him to wrestle what we call unofficially the WWE main event style. And he nailed it. He knocked it out of the park, thus proving his status as one of the most elite pro wrestlers in the world right now. So really great stuff. It's not as long as some people say it was. It's manageable. So please go watch it.
Yeah. If anything, parang deserve naman ata nila to have gone as long as they did.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I don't really have anything new to add other than everything you guys said, but I will co-sign that. The matches must watch. And if you're looking for like a nice 20, 25-minute main event from TV, then MJF versus Kenny Omega is something good to put on your list for the rest of this long weekend, however much of it you've got left.
But, right. I guess I got something to add to sinabi ni Bro regarding they could have promoted it well before because Kenny wasn't really doing anything before.
Yep.
Diba?
I'm sure
he was messing with Sina Jericho and the Don Callis family.
After that, no. After that, there was time.
Yeah, there was time. Yeah. I just realized that while Ro was mentioning it, like they could have promoted it in advance, and I will agree. I agree on that.
All right. Let's move on to my picks. And ito, Ro actually alluded to this earlier regarding yung stories na Roman Reigns, LA Knight, John Cena, and Solo Sikoa. I picked yung promo ni John Cena and Paul Heyman from this past weekend SmackDown. So when I watched this promo, it quickly reminded me of the Paul Heyman Cody Rhodes promo, which I guess now that we're about to wind down 2023, I'm penciling the Cody and Heyman promo as promo of the year. But this one was kind of in the same vein here. Kasi Paul Heyman approaches John Cena nung una with respect. Like he pretends to approach Cena with respect, right? Like lulling both Cody then and Cena now into a false sense of security. Saying na, I acknowledge na you're the greatest of all time, blah, blah, blah. And then he centered the story around John Cena's ability to speak on the microphone and to connect with the WWE universe because of his ability to communicate. And then nilink niya dun sa signature move ni Solo, which is the Samoan Spike. Na kapag tinamaan ka nun, di ba, in kayfabe, sira yung lalamunan mo, sira yung throat mo. So pag wala ka ng ngala-ngala, hindi ka na makakapagsalita. And in the case of John Cena, he's clearly getting older. He's no longer as present and visible as he used to be. When you take away his ability to talk, you take away his connection to the WWE universe, which apparently is the most important thing right now to this version of John Cena, as opposed to, the mid-2000s John Cena, who was all about becoming world champion. So I actually appreciated the storytelling here in this promo because it established what's important to Cena in 2023, and it gave him something to fight for, despite the fact na as you both predicted earlier, this really is a match that's just supposed to elevate Solo Sikoa because let's face it, 16-time world champion John Cena has literally nothing to lose at this stage in his career. So I like how if you're a casual fan or if you're a child or if you're someone na mas rose-tinted glasses yung lens mo when it comes to watching wrestling, it kind of gives the story some tension because it makes you doubt, diba? Parang, what if nga John Cena is no longer able to talk on the mic after Solo hits him with the Samoan spike? So that's what I loved about this whole promo.
Yeah, really quickly, you mentioned everything, but really quickly, my favorite part about this was Heyman talking about the implications of the spike, because people just think of it as a thumb wrapped in ano, diba? In tape, thumb wrapped in tape. But he explains what it actually does to your body, what it does to your throat. And I think people explaining how moves affect you and damage you is becoming a lost art. Okay, I'm trying to preserve it on my commentary. That's it.
Yes, same thoughts here. I really appreciate how Heyman told that story about the move. Because we don't get those these days. We don't get those these days. And it's also true it's a lost art. And this has been this is becoming Heyman's signature, where they're gonna praise Heyman's gonna praise you first, and then he's gonna shit on you afterwards. And I love the roller coaster of emotions, and then the feel it go while watching this promo. So this was top notch promo between John Cena's one of the again the greatest, as they say, the greatest of all time, and Paul Heyman, probably the greatest manager of all time.
Yeah. Paul Heyman will break you down and eviscerate you verbally, but before that, he'll pull a Fatboy Slim and praise you like he should.
Yeah.
My other pick is from Halloween Havoc Night 1, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the NXT Women's Championship. Na sobrang nagulat ako, even though we've each got 2 picks this week. Nobody picked this match. This was pretty good considering Becky Lynch wrestled it injured reportedly. I was surprised, and I think we talked about this now on the podcast. Now, Lyra was the person to beat Becky Lynch, but the way that they followed up the story in the week since Lyra took the championship from her made me feel like this was the plan all along, and that they really were shining up Lyra to be the next big star in the women's division, following the footsteps of Roxanne Perez and Tiffany Stratton, na parang siya yung next big star project to end 2023. So no better way to do that than to literally have her defeat her role model, her idol in Becky Lynch. And props na rin to NXT and their media and PR department, because they actually had Lyra do the media rounds, which they showed on NXT. They actually had her talking to the Irish media. So it shows you the importance with which they treated this occasion. Becky Lynch lost her NXT Women's Championship to another Irish female wrestler, that being Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, they got a lot of time. It's almost a collision main event here. Pero deserve naman. Becky is super great. You can see how comfortable she is in the ring despite being injured. She's just so good, especially directing traffic. Tapos Lyra was also pretty good. A lot of people don't know that, to say she was one of the more, not one of the bigger names that they got from NXT UK. Pero I guess if you're from the UK and from the Ireland areas, you would know how good she is. And if you were like us watching it regularly, you would know that she really was one of the better youngins that they had there. So deserve niya. And I don't know. I think she could be the next big Irish star, especially if Becky Lynch is really on the downhill of her career. So if they put in that effort and time and attention to her, I think they can make it work. Although obviously she's not on the man's level of being a character.
This was a really great main event. I didn't expect Lyra to win. I thought Becky was they're saving Becky for someone else to beat her for the title. But I'm glad it went that way, because this is like the passing of the moment, passing of the torch trope done right. Because we have seen this a lot before, but this is one of those times where they got it right. Lyra was I think deserved naman. Very deserving, kasi they really hyped her up when she made her debut not too long ago. And before they had this match, I feel like wala pa siya masyadong nagagawa. But this is really the first major program that she was involved in, and she did really good. She went up against her idol. But this is like a Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant moment, so
wow.
Yeah, and they really nailed this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Lyra will do as the NXT Women's Champion.
Alam mo, Emil, for your sake, I really hope Lyra Valkyria becomes the next big Irish star.
Yes, yeah, like I have big hopes for that. Honestly.
I think we should be calling people the next Kobe.
no, that was. No, go on. No, okay, no.
Let's keep Lyra Valkyria away from any and all helicopters. All right. Before we continue to secure our tickets to hell, Ro, close us out here with your picks.
First pick is from was it last week or? Yeah, last week's SmackDown. Last Friday.
Yes, last week.
So Dragon Lee versus Cedric Alexander, whom we have not seen on TV for quite some time. It was his I think it was his official debut on SmackDown since being drafted. So buti na lang they remembered that he was on the roster. Although it's one of those things that I'm sure they did this match because it was a doubleheader taping that day, and they wanted to maximize as much as possible. That's why you have a deep bench. So really good. It is one of those 205 Live main events that you don't see anymore kasi patay na 205 Live, and it's not the same as it was anymore. I think this was all things na bumawi sila kay Dragon Lee after the quick Austin Theory match that they had like last month. And then two, Cedric Alexander was once again in the proving mode. This is why you signed him, and this is why he should be given more opportunities on TV. So it's like the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic. So really good stuff. You don't get to see matches like this that much on SmackDown right now, and I really appreciate that they let the cruiserweights cook.
I'm really glad that they mentioned yung moment where the Cruiserweight Classic moment where the people chanted for Cedric to be signed. They mentioned that on commentary, and they mentioned that
they did.
So I'm glad that they mentioned that. I really appreciated it.
Ano yun, canon event na kasi yun.
Yeah. Plus, I'm just glad Cedric is on TV again. I mean, this dude is so damn talented. Pero hindi, aside from being featured as one of the members of the Hurt Business, he hasn't really done a lot in the main roster. So I'm glad that I don't know if this is going to be a thing from now on, pero I'm just glad he's back on TV. And they really cooked. I mean, nag-mesh yung style ng dalawa. And they really, it was a quick match, but it was one of those.
It wasn't that quick. It was not that quick.
It wasn't quick.
Yeah, they got time to cook.
Yeah, but I felt like it was the time went by when I watched it. Because that's how good this match was. And I'm glad that they're easing in Dragon Lee to the main roster by having him have these great matches against other talented wrestlers on the roster. And I think they're really big on Dragon Lee. That's what I can say as of right now for him.
No kidding. He got the fast track to the main roster, diba? Parang merong fast pass like in Disneyland. Diba? Like 1 minute he was just in the crowd. Oh, that's Dragon Lee from NXT. The next minute he's getting in matches, he's getting in promo segments, and then biglang, oh, now since coming over to SmackDown, I'm like, oh, okay, he's officially a SmackDown guy now, and that's great. Kasi I've been excited to call a Dragon Lee match, and him being on the main roster just means na baka sooner than later he'll land himself on a PLE. So I'll get to have that opportunity. So I'm really happy for him. I feel like for casuals, baka lang magkaroon ng confusion na there's Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee on SmackDown. You never know, right? For 20 years, Rey Mysterio has been the preeminent face of Lucha Libre. So I'm pretty sure that there's bound to be some fan out there who's like, oh, but dalawa na yung Rey Mysterio or whatever.
Oh, I mean, I know firsthand.
Yes.
Baka they fast-tracked him to the main roster kasi narinig nila yung sinabi ni Rowan na they're having a hard time trying to replicate Rey Mysterio.
So ginawa nila alang-alang kay Rowan. Oh, nakakaya naman kay Rowan, diba? So yeah, but that said, exciting times for SmackDown having another thrilling babyface in Dragon League, going up against Cedric Alexander, who is kind of a babyface with an edge kasi he's got that veteran side to him na, diba? Na he's been in the WWE system for the last 7 years and very start and stop din yung momentum niya. And I hope that in the same way na in-acknowledge nila yung please sign Cedric chants, na ma-acknowledge din nila yung meta narrative ni Cedric Alexander with the starts and stops, with him having something with the Hurt Business and that getting taken away, then him trying to build something with Shelton independent of the Hurt Business, and then Shelton, getting released earlier this year. So I'm hoping that this also is the start of something new for the narrative of Cedric Alexander, the character. Kasi as you guys both pointed out, napaka-deep ng bench ng WWE, and it would be such a shame if Cedric just continues to sit on said bench. Despite the fact that, as we saw, he can put on a banger when called upon.
Yeah, testament then to how elite and professional these athletes are, that they are in tip-top shape when called upon, kahit wala sila on TV consistently. Right, my last pick, let's get off easy. It is medyo cheating because it's from this week actually. That shouldn't be the coverage of our episode today, but it is the guesting of one Mr. Stone, who wrestled yesterday on the second night of Halloween Havoc versus one Braun Breaker on the Masked Man show. I changed this from my original pick of another match because it really resonated with me. As a fellow inactive wrestler, Mr. Stone, Rob, also had doubts. He articulated the doubts of, does he still have it? Can I still wrestle like that? It's been a while since he's been a wrestler. He's been an active wrestler. And then he also wanted to show to his kids, to his family, that he still has it, or there's a reason why they signed him to NXT. And I appreciated that. I felt, not that I'm trying to get back soon, but I felt that really deeply. And I really enjoyed this interview where he had the opportunity to just be vulnerable. Diba? He was also kayfabing it a lot, pero he kayfabed it in a way that you can tell that his feelings and the story were also one and the same. So it's really one of those things that you might not think much of Robert Stone because he's just a random NPC right now. Sa NXT with Von Wagner, but this really is a great interview that gives you a peek inside the mind of a journeyman wrestler who eventually got signed to his what I assume is his dream job, diba? And despite not being fully a wrestler in WWE, diba? So they also talk about his history with Von Wagner as being part of the same batch in the Performance Center. I don't know how much of that is kayfabe, but I'm sure there's a bond somewhere because batchmates sila. And a whole bunch of lore that actually helps in promoting the match as well versus Braun Breaker. So obviously the match has passed since we're recording this, but if you haven't caught it, it's a nice one. It's not just because to promote the match, but again, it's also to shine a spotlight on who he is.
So I enjoyed listening to this interview with Robert Stone, or Mr. Stone, just because I have a personal investment in his journey. He is a former contestant on The Amazing Race, which is admittedly my first exposure to him. And I really enjoyed yung season niya where he and Brooke Tessmacher competed together. They actually made it all the way to the end of that season. And then after that, I was wondering, okay, where's this guy right now? Only to find out na he got picked up by WWE as a manager and not as a wrestler. So I agree with you na sobrang fascinating nung kwento niya, and how he may not have wanted to end up in WWE this way, but when the WWE calls and there's a spot for you, diba? Sino ka pa ba na humindi and to say na hindi, I don't want to be a manager. Na parang he finds himself in a spot where he's open to trying out new things. He's learning about commentary. He's learning about producing matches. So in a way, medyo relate din ako dun. Because of my own experiences with both WWE and MWF. So it's a surprisingly fun listen, just because, a Robert Stone interview isn't exactly the first thing I would immediately download. So thanks for putting this on this week's docket.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You mentioned the whole skill set that he brings and learns from WWE. Yeah, I agree with that as well. Because I'm also going through it, right? I'm learning about things outside of being an actual wrestler in the ring.
Yeah, sobrang valuable nun. Like when you think about it, diba? A lot of us wrestling fans fantasize about getting in the ring and being in character, being world champion. But the more time I've spent hovering around this business, and I'm sure Ro, you can relate then to a certain degree, diba? You find other things other than the stuff in the ring na parang it's equally fun. And the best part is, and this is us saying the quiet part out loud, you don't have to break your back to enjoy these things while contributing to the overall health of the industry.
That's right. That's right. Emil, ano?
No, I am fascinated with Robert Stone or Mr. Stone kasi whatever it is that they give him, he always nails it. Like nails it every time. Like when he was the manager of Chelsea Green, when ano pa mga ginawa? Like basta every time he's on TV, I'm entertained by this guy. And that speaks volumes to how he can make something work. And he's one of the best non-wrestlers right now in wrestling. Kasi he's really entertaining. And this current story that he's been having with Von, he managed to make Von Wagner entertaining. Kasi this guy before, like, he's there, he's just fine. Pero with this ongoing partnership that he has with Robert Stone, suddenly made him one of the most sympathetic characters on NXT TV, and I'm rooting now for this guy and Vaughn to do well in NXT, and possibly they can go up to the main roster together. So I'm all in on the Mr. Stone character. I'm all in on him as a person. Like he has done wonderful things in his role within WWE.
So there you have it. Those are our picks of the week, and that wraps up this really extra large episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Again, no live stream for this week kasi naka-break yung ating mga babyface producers from the Pod Network, but we still thank them for all of the work that they do for us, holiday or no holiday. And we thank you, our listeners, our patrons, our subscribers, for all of the support you've shown to the Wrestling Podcast all these years. We'll see you next week for another live stream. Back to regular programming na tayo after the long weekend. We're also gearing up for our big Black Friday pasabay. So sana ready na yung mga credit card limits nyo, yung mga sweldo nyo for the biggest budol of the year. And I kid you not, it really is the biggest budol of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Kung meron kayong gusto mga wrestling merch, now is the time to start hunting, putting them on your carts and your wish lists so that when Black Friday comes around at nagbagsak presyo na, we can all make that sale together, right? So go watch out for that on the Wrestling Podcast Facebook and Instagram feeds at Wrestling Podcast. And we will see you on November 26th, that's a Sunday morning, for the Survivor Series watch party happening over at Hobby Stadium along E. Rodriguez Corner, Doña Hemady in New Manila, Quezon City. Kita tayo doon. Tickets at 350 pesos for the early bird rate, 500 pesos for the walk-in rate. Please be nice at umorder na rin kayo kasi masarap naman yung foods dun sa Hobby Stadium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kanilang foods and other stuff.
You'll need coffee as well.
Oh, maaga kasi. 8 a.m., diba? 8 a.m. Go follow us on social media and let us know whatever you want to add to our picks of the week conversation. It is at EML_Meister, at Chino Supersized, at Monday Night Rowan, at Rowas War, and at _Stan C. On behalf of Emil Nate and Ro Moran, my name is Stan C. This is another episode of the Wrestling Podcast is in the books. Stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast out. Bye-bye.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity,